Okay, are you ready for more? So we are going to check another two other methods. I don't want to call them like structures or anything because those are little tricks of the language. Okay. Now that you can use English, more or less proficiently, you are going to find sometimes these little details, and now you are going to be able to use them to add emphasis to whatever is that you are saying. Okay. So other ways to add emphasis. First of all, take a look at these two sentences. A normal sentence would be, he had never seen such a beautiful girl. I mean, that's normal. You have a subject, you have a verb, you have a complement, right? Maybe you have the word such a as a little bit of, exaggeration. But check out this one. Never had he seen such a beautiful girl. More emphatic is like, wow, the girl was really beautiful, right? So, what's up with this? Check out the little structure right there. I mean, normally someone would say, well, that is not grammatical. No, this is a trick of the language, which is valid, which is correct when you want to add emphasis to it. So let's look how it's done. This method it's called inversion. Normally, you know that we do inversions with some kind of questions, right? Like, are you Mexican? Instead of you are Mexican. But now we are going to use inversion not to make a question, not to do any sort of grammatical structure, but to emphasize what you are saying. Why? Because when you say a sentence in a structure that is slightly different to the normal rule, obviously your audience is going to be like, wait, something's different here. And obviously they are going to pay more attention to what you are saying. Okay? So don't get me wrong. Don't go around messing with all the grammar that you know. It is only in these particular cases. That's why I'm explaining them like carefully. So let's see how inversion works. Inversion, in this case, works when we have an adverb. Do you remember what's an adverb? Can you indicate the adverb in there? Yes, you can obviously because it's marked in purple, right? An adverb is, for example, the adverbs of frequency, like the one that we have here. That is never. So if you have a sentence with an adverb and you want to make it emphatic, you can use inversion. Okay? So what's the structure of an inversion sentence? Well, first, against all grammatical rules, you put the adverb, then the auxiliary, then the subject, and then the verb, and then whatever else you want to put in the sentence, right? Instead of the normal subject, auxiliary, adverb, verb, etc. No, adverb, auxiliary, subject, verb. Never had he seen such a beautiful girl. So when and what, not all the adverbs in the world, obviously. So which adverbs can I use with this method? Well, let me give you another example. What happens when I have a sentence that doesn't have an obvious structure, an obvious auxiliary? She never returned there. I mean, what is the auxiliary? There is an auxiliary, actually. It is only that it's not explicitly put in here. But if you check the verb is in what tense? Simple past, right? Very good. So what is the auxiliary that we use in simple past? For questions and for negative? Exactly, did. So we are going to extract the auxiliary from my verb and we are going to put it there. So what's the adverb? Never. What's the auxiliary? Did. What's the subject? She. But when I have already extracted the auxiliary, you remember the rule for negative and for questions in simple past? If I have the auxiliary, the verb doesn't need to be conjugated in past anymore, right? So it's the same. Instead of saying she never returned there, we are going to say never did she return there. Why? Because the simple past is already expressed in the auxiliary. The same happens with simple present. So for example, if I want to tell you, oh, you know what? I hardly ever do homework. So if I want to make it, I mean, that's not true. You shouldn't do that. But if you want to make it more emphatic, you should say, oh, hardly ever do I do homework. How's that about? Okay, definitely, since you see that something is different in that sentence, your attention gets immediately caught, right? So, what are the adverbs that I can use in this? Normally, the adverbs of frequency, but I have a more comprehensive list in which this structure is more commonly used. Obviously, the adverb never, the adverb hardly. You remember hardly? Hardly, like I'm going to tell you this more or less the meaning of these words. So if you don't know any of them, you can, okay? Sorry, Luis. So hardly, difícilmente or raramente, seldom, the same, rarely, the same, frequency, only then, solamente, entonces, not only but, no solamente pero, no sooner, lo más rápido posible, or something, or inmediatamente, scarcely, raramente, only later, pretty clear, nowhere, de ningún lado, de ninguna manera, little, difícilmente, in this case, only this way, clearly, in no way, de ninguna manera, or on no account, the same, de ninguna manera, more or less. Okay? These are the adverbs in which we can use this kind of inversion, okay? To make whatever you are saying more like, highlighted. Okay, so really quickly, one more way, another form of inversion to bring emphasis on a particular thing. Normally, this kind of emphasis is for a regret or, for a criticism for something that already happened and you want to like really, really emphasize it. Maybe you're scolding someone, your mom, you're a teacher, and you know. So, for example, we have a conditional. Can you identify what kind of conditional is this? Very good. This is an unreal conditional in the past. The one that we know as a third conditional, right? If I had known this before, I would have been able to do something. If I had known this before, I would have been able to do something, right? We are talking about a situation that it's already in the past and there is nothing we can do about it. But probably you are scolding or criticizing someone like si hubiese sabido, right? Sorry. How can we make this more emphatic? Well, we do a little inversion here. So we eliminate the word if you notice, and we put auxiliary first and subject later. Had I known this before, I would have been able to do something, okay? So, for example, you can use this when you are like maybe really angry or you want to, make like give yourself a little bit more of importance about a situation in the past that you were not able to change. Had I known this before, I would have been able to do something. For example, had I studied this before, I wouldn't have failed my exam. Oh, had you come to me earlier, I would have helped you, for example. This is for emphasizing a bad situation and maybe what you could have done about it. So, those are the trick that the English language has when you want to add emphasis. Those are very, very common in literature. And since you're going to be telling me story, well, I really, really hope you can use a couple of these to spice things up in your story, okay? You need to get my attention. I need to be like really, really into what you are telling me. So let me know if this is clear, if you want another couple of examples. Or maybe you can Google some more examples, but let me help you if I can, okay? Well, good luck. See you in your project.